a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of slime. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Yeah. Oh, big time, big time, big time, big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of burn. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of burn. It's running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Big time. I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, number 9. Got it in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. Normally on Wednesdays, we have the legend Scotty Minter join us. Unfortunately, Scotty's out today. He's got another thing going on. So we will move on without him this week. We certainly miss him doing it. But we want to know today, we're going to talk to a couple people today. We have Donnie Farron chiming in at 3:30, the athletic director over at South Range. And we have Tommy Peace, the voice of the East Liverpool Potters, chiming in at 3:15 to talk about what East Liverpool is up to. They've got a game tonight. They had a game last night, the OVAC semi-finals against Beaver Local, where they absolutely exploded. Let's just put it that way. They exploded over the Beavers, just all over them last night, and they ended up into the finals on Saturday, and that game is going to be played at 4 o'clock. We are hoping to have that game for you, and we'll talk to Tommy about what is up in Potter Nation as far as basketball goes, and then we'll talk to Donnie Farron about all things South Range, talk to him about the traveling that the softball team will head down to Myrtle Beach alongside the baseball team in just a few short weeks. And then, of course, I'll tell you what, Donnie is probably one of the most proud people, as he should be, because he puts on one of the best tournaments each year in the Holiday Classic at South Range. And he's bringing in some big teams this year. Well, I guess technically it's this year. It's 22. So in about 10 months, you'll be able to hear about it. But we're going to update you on this tournament, which is, I think, in its 4th year now. And some of the teams that he has been able to pick up. It is by far one of the best tournaments in girls basketball at that holiday season. So we'll have Donnie Farron on to talk about that. But first, we get to today's events in sports history. And as you can tell from the little banner there, we're going to talk a little bit All-Star Game. We're going to kick it off with, on this day in sports history, 1997, the 47th NBA All-Star Game took place at the Gund Arena in Cleveland, Ohio, where the East beat the West 132-120. The MVP was Glenn Rice of the Charlotte Hornets. I remember this game vividly It was, I mean, anytime it happens in the area, there's a lot of hoopla. I want to say I was in 6th grade when this happened. So that gives you a little insight. It'll either make you feel old or make me feel old, depending on who we have out there listening here today. But I want to know what your take is on All-Star games, because we're going to talk about it, especially with the Pro Bowl and how that went down on Sunday. We're going to talk about, are All-Star games just a matter of fact? Are they necessary, or can we do away with them and just name All-Stars? We're going to talk about that, and I want to hear from you. What's your take on All-Star games? Chime in. I am in favor of high school All-Star games. I am in favor of youth sports All-Star tournaments. But it seems to me as you get a little bit older, the college All-Star games, the Senior Bowl was kind of a dud. For me, I don't know if you caught that. You look at some of these college All-Star games, and especially the pro All-Star games, just not worth it. So we have a comment already. Oh boy, here we go. DJ Folkley Jr. if you're not following along, DJ Folkley went on a mission yesterday with his burner account, and he got blown up. So apparently, DJ Folkley Jr. Chimes in and says, DJ, the bond is strong between us. My brother has been blown up, and I will be coming down to East Palestine to move in with you, my greater uncle. Always welcome, man. You're always welcome. My wife probably will have something to say about it, but you're always welcome, at least on my part. She might give me the veto. So, again, what's your take on All-Star games? I want you to chime in. Let's talk about, before we get to Tommy P's here in a few minutes, let's talk about how terrible, and I mean terrible, that Pro Bowl was. In the past few years, I've had a hard time watching the basketball All-Star game, the NBA All-Star game, which is ironically in Cleveland again this year as it was in 1997. I don't understand. I don't get it. It doesn't interest me. Like, just score points, and then the last 5 seconds or 10 seconds, they play defense to see if they can sew up what they consider a bonus. I don't like it. I don't like the NBA All-Star game. I like the challenges. Like, I like the celebrity All-Star game. That stuff. The MLB All-Star game, still, it's a little bit softer, Deion Sanders said something which was intriguing to me over the weekend. He said, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know where or how we got here, because when he was around, it was an honor to be an all-star. It was an honor to, compete against the best. And now it's not. Now it's a joke. I mean, some of the tackles that you saw on Sunday were just like little kid stuff, like people just falling down, like playing out, and defense quitting. There was money on the line for charities, and I get it. Like, you're not out anything, but if you're representing those charities and they're depending on that money and you're not really giving it your all, that's just a sad situation. It really is. High school All-Star games I love. And if you know me, I think that we do high school All-Star games, easy for me to say, high school All-Star games better than anybody around. And that's why I think we've been entrenched into these other All-Star games. We'll be broadcasting the Al Beach Classic. We'll be broadcasting the Jack Arvin. We'll be broadcasting a few of these All-Star games. And then we'll have our own. We're having ours on March 26th for basketball this year. And you got 50 kids that will be representing 50 schools. And I'll be damned if they're not going to play hard. Like that's the whole thing. These kids, they know. And some of these other competitors, they're going to be going against kids they've never seen before, which makes it all that much more fun. And that's why I think the All-Star games are such a great thing. That's why interleague baseball was so phenomenal when it first started, because you were seeing matchups that otherwise you had never seen before in your life that you always wanted to see. We always wanted to see Cincinnati versus Cleveland. We wanted to see Pittsburgh versus Cleveland, and then we could. The only time otherwise we're in the World Series or in the All-Star games that you got to see a player go up against another player. That's why I think All-Star games are so important. They're very important, but they're turning into a laughing stock. People are just absolutely. This microphone is turning into a laughing stock because apparently it doesn't want to stay up. Mr. Hartwig, if you're listening, we're going to check in with you tomorrow with this microphone. But getting back to the All-Star game, it's turning into a joke. And the joke's going to be on these leagues. The joke's going to be on, unfortunately, the fans. Because when I think of the Pro Bowl now, I think it's just like an autograph session, right? And I know I saw on Facebook some of the people that I know were at the Pro Bowl, and they had a wonderful time because it's an event. It is like a business meeting. Guys just show up. It's like a celebrity, like what you used to see on MTV, right? You know, they do these celebrity all-star games and stuff like that. You don't want that to be your main event. If you're going to do that, that's fine. That's celebrity stuff. But when the All-Star game or the Pro Bowl or whatever you want to call it happens, you have to put some type of effort, I guess is the word. You got to put effort into the game. You certainly didn't get there playing like that. And you owe it to the fans. You owe it to your team, whoever you represent, your family, to play a little harder than what we saw on Sunday. I'm sure the NBA All-Star game, when it comes around, there's going to be some people that are just, I mean, it's just going to be 300 to 297. Like it's ridiculous. If you're like me, you like defense. Like I have a big time respect for offense, huge respect for offense. But defense, I love seeing somebody block a shot. I love whenever we're in high school basketball and Cammie Rome in Salem is known for swatting the basketball so much that she has become Swatzilla. And she has embraced it. Her family has made shirts about it. If you're known for defense and you get voted into an all-star game, you better play defense. Like we're not expecting you to drop 30 on a basketball game if you're known for your defense. And that's what drives me nuts is, you know, yeah, I know TJ Watt in the Pro Bowl got a batted ball and it went to Myles Garrett and he returned it for a touchdown. Almost everybody scored a touchdown on Sunday. But let me say this. In a high school setting, we all know that it trickles down. It starts at the top and then it trickles its way down to the high school and the youth. And at some point, there's going to be a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old that just kind of sails through an all-star season or all-star tournament because it's what he sees his heroes do. And I just think that we're setting sail on a really, really bad path here, really, really choppy waters ahead if we don't get our all-star games back to where they need to be. And that's being all-stars. That's it. That's exactly what it is. So we want to hear from you. What do you want your all-star? What do you expect from all-star games, whether it be high school or youth or professional or collegiate? What do you want to have your all-star games be like? But we are now joined by one of my friends, one of the OGs of your sports network, and one of my favorite people to talk to in the world. It is Thomas Christopher Pease the Eighth. My friend, how are you?
I'm good, DJ. How are you?
I'm doing well. We were just talking about all-star games. What's your take on all-star games nowadays? Do you want to see like effort, or are you okay just watching everything kind of just go through the motions?
Well, the most recent one, I mean, the Pro Bowl, they could just do away with that completely. I mean, I thought it was terrible. It was garbage.
So when you see like a high school all-star game, like we're going to have our game on the 26th of March.
Oh, okay. You're talking. Okay.
When you see a high school all-star game, do you think that it's fair to just go through the motions on something like that? Because you see, I mean, these pros, NBA all-star game right around the corner. It's in Cleveland. We're going to see 300 points guaranteed, maybe by one team. Do you think that the high school all-star game is going to be similar to that at one point? Is people just kind of mailing it in?
Well, I mean, I think the all-star game is got to be a fun environment especially for high school kids. I mean, everybody's path has pretty much come to an end, and you get to be celebrated, as being one of the top high school players in your area, county, however far out the all-star game might go. And I feel like it should be a showcase of skill. And if a kid's a great defender and he wants to be a great defender in the all-star game, well, then do it. But if they don't want to play defense and a kid wants to show off his athletic skills on the offensive side and just have a good time, I don't see nothing wrong with that.
I like it. So if you're a defender and that's how you got there, that's what you should be showcasing, not trying to drop 30, right?
Right. But let's be honest, in high school all-star games, usually it's your scorers that are predominantly going to be in those games, and therefore, it's fun. It's fun for the kids. They've worked hard all year. Have a little fun. You've earned it, right? So.
I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, there was a Potter a couple years ago. The name escapes me right now, but he was lights out. Got the MVP. He was a standout.
That was Gabriel Roach.
Yes, Gabe Roach.
Yeah.
Blast from the past. My goodness. All right, let's talk Potters. Oh my goodness, the Potters in the semis last night against Beaver Local absolutely came out on fire. No pun intended. So when you look at where this Potter team could be, it seems like they have really found their rhythm. Talk to me, Tommy, about what you're seeing on the floor with the blue and white.
Well, I mean, the Potters are 16-3, and have a date with St. Clairsville Saturday night at Harrison Central for the OVAC championship. It's going to be a full day of basketball there for all the OVAC conferences. But tonight really is a little bonus game scheduled earlier in the year and canceled because of all the snow and stuff that went on here in the Ohio Valley. It's been rescheduled, and that's Wheeling Lindsley coming to town, who is a powerhouse in the state of West Virginia. And it's probably going to be outside of Lincoln Park and New Philadelphia. It's probably the biggest test for the Potters all year. And I think it comes at a good time because we're 16-3. We're playing good basketball. And like I tell Coach Conley, when you see the scoreboard at the high school and it says, Toothman 15, Green 15, Daly 15, Armstrong 15 points, you got something really special brewing. They're sharing the basketball. They're making that extra pass. They're doing all the right things. And it's really starting to culminate for this team, and they're heading in the right direction. So I told Coach Conley yesterday after the game, I said, I think this game tonight against Lindsley, it can work in your advantage either way. You take a loss tonight against a really good basketball team, and it kind of
Tommy's the traveling man, so hopefully we can get him back. But what he was saying was tonight, Lindsley, very good basketball team. Sigler chimed in, said, don't sleep on them. They're very, very good. You back?
I'm back.
Okay.
So what I would say is, Lindsley, either way, win or loss tonight, I think the Potters can take a positive out of it. So I think that's going to be, the thing, and it's going to be a really tough task tonight for the Potters. They're Lindsley's very, very good. They are very well coached. They're very disciplined. They got really good guards, and they play good basketball. It's going to be a task. So that'll be on YSN tonight. So anybody out there likes good quality high school basketball, DJ, this is a game to turn into for sure.
Oh, I can't wait. Hopefully, we're still working on getting the clearance for tomorrow at 4:00 for Saturday at 4:00 for the OVAC championship with East Liverpool and St. Clairsville. Tommy, for those, it's a little bit different, and we've learned this along the way. People don't necessarily always understand why the OVAC is so important to schools like Beaver Local and East Liverpool, and there's other teams that compete in the OVAC in different sports. What is it about the OVAC that always feels like a feather in the cap of whoever can win it?
Well, I mean, it's a huge conference. I mean, it's a conference inside of multiple conferences. I mean, for example, the Potters play in the Buckeye 8, but they're also members of the OVAC. So the OVAC is just up and down the Ohio Valley. It's a huge conference. And, when you win a conference that carries that many teams and has that much history behind it, I mean, it always is, like you said, a nice feather in the cap. And an OVAC title is definitely not something that's easy to come by down here. So.
Sigler says wrestling is why it's important. And I don't disagree with that, but I think that, you look at a Beaver local, they are consistently winning the OVAC or competing for an OVAC title. And it's a banner on the wall. It's a banner on the wall. And it's one of those great opportunities for the student athletes that they can compete for more than one title during the year. Or if they can't compete, let's say in their regular conference, and I say regular conference loosely because I don't know the proper term for it. But like you said, the Buckeye 8 or the NE 8 or the EB, whatever it may be, if they can't compete or aren't competing in that conference, they can still go win, which we talked about yesterday. A conference tournament like this gets me giddy. I love being able to win a conference tournament, and I think it should be done more. So from this standpoint, Tommy, do you think that like the Buckeye 8 or whatever conference a team's in, do you think more teams and more conferences should put a tournament together at the end of the year like they're doing in the OVAC?
Right. The Buckeye 8 does. They did this pretty much the same format. It's the top, the top 2 play or the top 4 teams play to get to the winners go to the championship. And it's the same thing in the OVAC. The top 4 at the end of the year play in a small bracket to go to the championship. But there's I think there's 6 different conferences or 5 different conferences inside the OVAC. So it's not one giant conference. But they do the same thing. Each conference, the top 4 play in a bracket style to get to what culminates where every game plays on Saturday at Harrison Central. Every division of the OVAC will have their championship game. Potters being at 4:00 against St. Clairsville, which ironically, St. Clairsville is in the Buckeye 8 South, and the Buckeye 8 Championship, which was at Beaver Local just a few weeks back, was St. Clairsville versus East Liverpool, and that is the rematch for the OVAC championship. So it's kind of nice.
And it was a win for our Potters, right?
It was a win for our Potters, which in St. Clairsville played a great game that day, but we were able to withstand the couple runs they put on us and make the W. So
now I know that Coach Conley, one of your best friends in the entire world, talk to me about some of the conversations I'm sure you've had with him lately about can this team keep the momentum and become really one of the all-time greats from East Liverpool?
Yeah, this is not how he describes it, but this is how I would describe it to you. This team can catch lightning in a bottle at any time and beat just about anybody.
Wow.
If they play their best basketball top to bottom and everybody does their part on this team, takes care of their role on this basketball team, sky's the limit. But
okay, so
it's a tall task to get where they want to go.
I was just going to ask you that. So sky's the limit. So where does that blue sky, that Potter blue sky, where does that reside? Can you feasibly think that this could be a team of destiny that runs the table and competes for a state championship this year?
Personally for me, and I'm sure it should be the goal of these kids in the locker room and the coaches, that's looking way too far ahead. I think right now you do step by step. You got to take care of business. You can't think ahead. You got to get the sectional championship, and then you got to win the first round of districts to get to that district final. That district final should be the goal for this basketball team, because if you get to that district final against more than likely either New Philadelphia, who we lost to without our point guard, Devin Toothman didn't play that game, or Meadowbrook,
mm-hmm.
And win that game, you're in the Sweet 16 of the state. And at that point, DJ, you've won a district title. You're one of the top 16 teams in the state. This team, if they play loose and have fun and play the game how they are coached to play, anything can happen once you get to that point. But the goal should be that district championship, which has eluded Coach Conley and the Potter basketball program for a long time, with plenty of great teams. 2 or 3 teams that could have legitimately won the district final, but we didn't get it. So here we are.
And I was going to say
big Potter team.
There's a lot of Potters and Potter faithful that feel like the same way you do, that it was on them and they just kind of came up short, as opposed to, tipping their, and I don't want to say that the other team wasn't better that particular night, because we all know that happens, but there's a lot of faith in Potter basketball. And especially when you walk into the field house, my goodness, it's blue and white everywhere you look, and it's as far as the eye can see. What do you think a district championship would do for the program and Coach Conley, and help him kind of not rebuild, because he's already done that, but reestablish Potter basketball as the dominant brand of basketball in our area?
Yeah, I mean, I think the timing's right for it. I don't think that we've lost our stature as being, a basketball oriented, school, basically, known as a basketball school, I would say. But I feel at the same time, like, Coach Conley can set the table for, whoever's going to come next. I mean, he's probably on the latter end of his career. His kids are growing up, and I think, he could put Liverpool right back on the top with a good, program behind him and a good pool of kids behind him. The youth program's doing good. I don't think we've gone anywhere. I just think we could remind people, hey, we're still here this year.
Just a constant reminder that
that's it.
I like it. All right. You can listen and watch tonight on YSN. Tommy, and is Rob going to be there with you?
Rob will be there. Yep.
And Rob will be there with you from the padded blue seats in the Potter Fieldhouse. Tommy, as
going to
be,
not to interrupt you, DJ, can I say one thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a special night tonight in the Fieldhouse, and not a lot of people know this, but they're going to honor two guys tonight at the Fieldhouse who've been a part of Potter basketball for the last 40 years. It's the official timekeeper, Mr. Al Johnson, and the true voice of Potter basketball, Mr. Bob Kelly, who always says the famous, all you Potter fans, off your seat and on your feet. He will be honored tonight too at the Fieldhouse. So it's going to be a fun night. Hopefully we get the W.
Fun night for the Potters against Lidsley. You could catch it tonight, 7 p.m. right here on the network. Tommy, have fun with the call. Thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you as always. Go Potters, my friend.
Go Potters. Thanks, DJ.
You got it, buddy. That is Tommy Pease, the legend. And it's always fun when he stops by. We used to have a show that we did during the mornings. It was he and I and the Squeaky Bandito that was called the Breakfast Burrito. And it really was the precursor to the Power Hour. And as you've probably seen, the Power Hour changing a little bit of its format, and we're going to continue to evolve. We're not ditching the panels per se, but we're going to start bringing people on, kind of like a talk show should be, a little bit different than Running Point, and bringing in people via our StreamYard app, and of course, getting their opinions on relevancy of current topics, both from local, regional, and hopefully we stay clear of the national stuff, but and we want to talk about the stuff that's affecting you. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, I think Donnie Farron is going to be just around the corner. We're going to talk about South Range Athletics, trips to Myrtle Beach for the softball and baseball team, and then, of course, we're going to talk about this illustrious tournament he continues to put together and has expanded it even for 2022 in the holiday season. So we'll talk to Donnie Farron. We return on the YSN Power Hour, proudly presented by these great sponsors.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times. But because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense, to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ysn Power Hour. It's 3:30, and I promised this guy an interview because he has been just burning the candle at both ends and doing great things for South Range Athletics and the entire NE8s. We bring in this time one of the legends, one of my favorites, Mr. Donnie Farron. What's up, brother?
How you doing today, DJ?
I'm great. How are you?
Really good. Really good. It's a busy season, just getting ready for middle school and high school wrestling tonight. It's going to be an exciting night here at South Range with our high school wrestling program. I got to give it to them, going to the state duels tournament this weekend in Versailles. And they just were voted the number 1 seed going into that tournament.
That's unbelievable. We talk about that. I mean, the atmosphere on Saturday was unbelievable. I mean, that place for being, I don't want to say it wasn't packed, but it felt like it, right? I saw the replay of Michael Lally with that pin. You needed it to win. And that the South Range wrestling team went bananas. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out on YSN. We retweeted it. We did all that. What was it like in the building when that was going on and Michael finally put the pin on?
When he got him on his back, our bench, everybody came up, coaches got up, and then when they finally hit that mat and pinned him, it was the entire place just exploded. And it was one of those things that, yeah, you're right. At that point, it was 30-29. He gets the win. The next match, if that would have ended up being a pin, we would have lost by 1. Yep. Whereas when he did that, it was lights out, no chance. We won it.
South Range, I mean, you guys have really established a great wrestling program. There's been a lot of names that have come through there naturally. For those who are just starting a wrestling program, you guys were there at one time. What do you have? Is it just a patience thing of being able to establish and just continue to be persistent with that wrestling program?
It is. I mean, a lot of our coaches that we have had and that we have now, those coaches started out at the youth level and, have worked their way up. And they continue to go back to the youth programs and help them out. The kids go back and help them out. One of our former coaches, Bill Gehring, he is now running our youth program. So, what you need to do at the high school level, they're getting to them at the youth program. And it just filters all the way up. And I mean, for us to have 30 kids on our varsity wrestling team is incredible. I mean, that's, you look at the schools in this area, like a Beaver Local, Canfield, Howland, those schools all have those traditions of wrestling. And now I think that you can put South Range in that same category with them with what we have done the last 6-7 years. And it just keeps building from there.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. And something we've talked about before off the record is the way that South Range constantly kind of moves from the high school or the amateur all the way back down to the youth. And you guys, you learn it from the youth age up. This is how we do things at South Range. Other schools try to kind of copycat that, and there's a respect that they have for you and what that your programs have accomplished. You've said before, and I hope I'm not paraphrasing too rough, is it's important to start the kids out young with the expectations of what it means to wear the burgundy and gold. when you look at the wrestling program, it is a perfect blueprint of what you've done in all the other programs, from your softball programs, your baseball programs, your football programs, things of that nature. How important is it for programs outside of, let's say, South Range to embody that and start saying, okay, we have to know our numbers from the ground up and know what to expect from year to year, and know who's going to be coming to our program from year to year?
Oh, we would like the other schools in the area not to do that. But it is important, because you have to see what you have. You have to adapt. I mean, there's, if you go back to South Range probably 12, 13 years ago, would you ever expect a kid to throw for 2,600 yards? No, maybe in 3 years. But our coaching staff, our football program, they have adapted to what we have here, what type of athletes we have, what skill set they have, and they want to put them in a position to be as successful as they can. And that being said, that goes for all of our programs. Those high school coaches, they have to be involved with your middle school programs, with your youth programs. And, that's why I think that our high school programs are successful, is because we have coaches that are willing to put the time in and do the little things, not just with their own teams, but with all the teams from, kindergarten on up.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that nobody ever kind of dials in is the opportunities that athletic directors and especially at South Range, you guys give your kids opportunities to go places and be seen. Right. So you look at it will, highlight the band here for a minute. The band goes to Disney World. They do that. That's a great thing for the kids. You do that once every 4 years, I think.
Yes.
From an annual situation, you're part of the softball program. You used to be the head coach. Then we took the athletic director. You kind of moved the assistant role. You guys go to Myrtle Beach every year, same as the baseball team. That gives them a different look, gets you to play a little baseball and softball in the sun before you can get things going here. How much does that mean to the kids? How much does it mean to the parents? And how much does it mean to your programs that you're able to do things like that?
It does. It means a lot to our kids. I mean, number one, it's a nice advantage just because you never know what the weather will be like here in Northeast Ohio. You could be snowed out. I know one year we went down and nobody played because it snowed here in Youngstown, Ohio. And so we're down there playing in 70-degree sunshine, and no one up here is playing. It gives us that aspect of it. It also gives you the aspect that you're going to go down there and you see some very, very good softball teams from, you hate to say it, but the southern states, they play all year round, and that is a very, very distinct advantage for them. So when you go down there, there's some years we went down, the teams have 27, 28 games in, and we're going on the field for the first time. Is it important to the kids? Yeah, it's important to the kids. I mean, if you go back 2 years ago, they were devastated when they could not go, baseball and softball teams that could not go due to the COVID, because they work for that stuff. There's a lot of things that goes into those trips that, people do not see on the outside. Our baseball and softball coaches, they do a tremendous amount of fundraising. They do things. They have to organize these trips.
I knew somebody was going to say something about that flag.
I can move it. I got a Steeler one behind it, though. So, they organize a year in advance for these trips. When, I know softball wise, when we leave down there, Coach DeRose, when he goes to check out of the rooms, he goes to the resort and he says, hey, this is our break next year. We want to reserve these rooms. So you're looking at an entire year in advance on some of this. And
not only is it great for on the field, but it's even better for off the field. Being able to have that team bonding, and I've been there to experience it. The team bonding, the coach bonding, the just having parents being able to talk to coaches right there. I mean, you're staying in the same hotel. It's great, and you've seen the fruits of your labor because last year in the state championship. You look at the baseball team a handful of years ago. They win the state championship. is part of this process, attributed to being able to go and play that tournament down there that you guys absolutely love in North Myrtle?
It is. It is because you are seeing teams that are, at a high level of competition. And, so I think that pays off. I mean, Coach DeRose had said it before that, we were in some tight games down there. We lost a game. We've still not gone down there and went undefeated. And I mean, we've had some pretty good teams, but we can never go down there as a softball team and win every single game. We always get tripped up. I mean, last year we got tripped up and it was a 9-8 game, and their pitcher was good. It wasn't like she wasn't a good pitcher, but we did what we needed to offensively. We just fell short on our defensive side of it that game. But yeah, I mean, when you're in tight games down there, then once we started the tournament action last year, our games were not blowouts. They were one-run games. And I think that, going down there and playing the competition allows those girls to be comfortable in doing that.
Now, I do have a question that I'm not allowed to ask, and I will stick to that. But, I mean, South Range being part of the original NE8 when it was combined, and obviously everybody's heard, and we've discussed it on the show, about Jefferson leaving. We're not going to ask you who or what you're looking for from a team perspective to bring into the NE8 for that 8th team, if you are indeed doing that. But what I want to know from you, from an athletic director's perspective, is we talk to coaches week in, week out, and they talk about just the absolute, it's a schedule. It is a gauntlet when you go through that NE8. As an athletic director, when you sit at those meetings, and I've been part of them, you guys sit around and smirk because you know that the NE8 has become one of the elite conferences in the entire Buckeye State. What does that mean whenever you have people that are dying to become part of the NE8 because of what it means from a media standpoint, from a point standpoint, and from just a prestige standpoint of being part of that conference?
As a South Range person and a South Range school district, we feel extremely lucky, that those other 7 schools thought of us in that way to think we could, come into their league and be a benefit to it. It is nice. And I do think that, size wise, schools, it is probably one of the best conferences in Northeast Ohio for sure, unless it's in even the possible of the state.
I can only think of one other conference that would compare.
You're going to say a conference out west, I'm sure.
I sure am.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, with what they do, the MAX conference, what they do every single year, and it's not just football. It's in basketball. It's in baseball. It is. I mean, Versailles, who finally beat Kirtland, for the state finals in football, their wrestling program, that's where it's at, and they're in it this weekend. So it's not just one sport out there; it's all of them. And I don't know how you copy that product that they do out there, but it's incredible what they do. And yeah, that's what we want as a league here. We want to be known as that level is the MAC.
I'm interested because there's a ton of teams that I can think of that you could put in that slot and be uber competitive and level up. We're not going to get into that. I promise you. All right. So let's turn the page to this tournament you've put together. Is this the 4th? This will be the 4th year coming?
Fifth year coming up.
My apologies. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is something that when YSN started, you said, hey, let's do this. Let's kind of team up on this, and you do all the legwork. I want anybody to think that I'm the guy. I literally just send a broadcaster there, and we do it. But Donnie, this has become one of the best tournaments, and I'm not even exaggerating. You look at the teams that you have started to bring in, and you have brought in from the jump. You had to expand it this coming year to include as many teams. Talk about this tournament, what it means to you. This is kind of like your baby a little bit, right?
Yeah, I do. I mean, my father, who, he coached the girls basketball team for years here. He was the athletic director here. He went on to Hiram College and coached the girls basketball team there. so I've had that background, with him. But it was always something in the back of our minds. Do we want to do a, boys tournament, a girls tournament? What do we want to do? But, something we wanted to start was that holiday tournament. And we did it 5 years ago. And, at that point we had mostly local Youngstown area schools here. And it just kept expanding to, okay, now we bring in an Akron Hoban, we had a connection with Akron Hoban with their coach, Pam Arnold. Her mother was our high school secretary for years, and her grandfather was our superintendent for years. And, so we had a connection with them, and they came over. It's one of those things when you bring a premier program in like that, you look back at them and say, hey, thank you for coming, because that's promoting our classic, our tournament. And this year we decided that we wanted to expand it to 12 teams. We were hoping we could find 12 teams that would want to come, because, with COVID and everything, some teams aren't permitted to travel, are worried about travel. But we ended up getting 12 teams. And then, we get 12 teams, and now I get 2 more teams that say, hey, we want to come. And so we accommodated that. So we're up to 14. And this weekend, I got one more definite wants to come and one more that's going to check to give me a 100% answer this week. So if we go up to 16 teams, and it's not just here anymore in this Youngstown area, you're talking from Cleveland, and we have teams from Cleveland to Columbus coming to it. So it's exciting.
And I love the fact that it's here. It's local. It's right in our backyard. And we're showcasing the wonderful facilities of South Range. And I think didn't you say if it's 16, we have to do multiple gyms for the varsity?
We do. No, it'll still be, even with 16 teams. And I've done a little bit more research. I mean, what we want to try to do with this tournament is to try to match the classic in the country down at Berlin Highland. I mean, wow. They bring teams in, we haven't got those out of state Las Vegas teams to come in yet, but we have had some inquiries from Pennsylvania. So we'd like to make it like that, and the thing that we do, I think here, is we're not saying this is a varsity tournament. You're coming to our tournament, your JVs are going to get 2 games, your varsity is going to get 2 games, because it's tough, on teams to say, hey, we're going to this tournament, but our JVs are losing 2 games out of the year, because then your feeder programs aren't getting the maximum games that they can get. And, by doing what we do, we stagger the game time starts, and we use our middle school gym, which is as nice as a lot of regular high school gyms for our JV games. And then all of our varsity games are in our high school gym. And if we stay at the 14 teams, you're starting at 10 o'clock in the morning, and, the last game will tip off at 7:30 at night.
You said something in there that kind of hit a nerve for a lot of ADs. I'm sure you guys have been really blessed to have kids come out for your programs year in, year out, annually, but you're starting to see the falling of numbers all over the place. And especially with JVs, you're playing 2 quarters or you're not playing at all. Where do you think that is going to lead in the future? Obviously, from a standpoint of not being able to get those valuable minutes from JV standpoint, do you think it's going to hurt the varsity as well down the line?
Oh, I think down the line it could definitely, hurt the varsity program. And I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, you have some very successful programs that the kids just aren't coming out, for it anymore. And, I don't have the answer for that. If I did, I would love to share it, but it's everywhere. I mean, it's here. I mean, our girls basketball team's been to the regional finals the last 2 years, and, our numbers are down. It's everywhere. And, it's a very difficult, thing to, it's a very difficult 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 thing to, it's a very schedule for athletic directors, because you're looking at it as, okay, now we got to make sure all the parents, know, hey, I don't want a parent showing up at 7:00, but the game tipped off at 6:15, so they've missed the entire first half. And it's just it's an very, very difficult to plan your routines when you get used to certain things too. I mean, as well as I do, a JV or a varsity basketball player, boys or girls, just says, hey, at halftime, I'll get in my routine. I'm going to go out and shoot. I'm going to do the things I do every single game. And when you say, okay, well, tonight you're going out from the very beginning because we don't have a JV game, or, hey, you know what? There is no halftime. We're playing 2 quarters and you got to go out. It just throws the kids off their routine.
It's been a challenge. And the last question I have for you, and probably not a surprise, is the challenge that you've had to uphold over the last 2.5, 3 years with COVID, things of that nature. Everybody, I mean, I feel for a lot of people in this world with COVID, certainly. But one of the people at least from a professional standpoint that I feel for the most are athletic directors. If you were telling me right now that the only job that I could have is that an athletic director or go flip burgers at McDonald's, I would take the McDonald's job just from the ease of access. I don't care about the money. You guys and girls are vastly underrated and undervalued for what you've had to deal with over this COVID situation. And you're still dealing with it with cancellations. And every time somebody gets a sniffle, you have to give them a test and things of that nature. From your standpoint, on a scale of 1 to 10, when you took the job as athletic director, did you ever imagine in your life that you'd have to deal with the things that you've had to deal with in the last 3 years?
There's no way. I mean, 1's not even comparable for it. I mean, you don't expect to have to deal with anything like this. I mean, there's a lot of things when you're on this job that you will have to deal with. But to deal with a pandemic like this and for this long, I would have never guessed it. I would have never in my life thought that. And if somebody would have told me that, I told them they were probably crazy, because you're going on 3 years now. And, things still aren't back to normal. They're getting there. Luckily here at South Range, we haven't, and you knock on wood, but we haven't been really knocked down that hard. But there are some schools that, just have shut down for 2 weeks. It deals with not only your school, your teams, but a thing that people don't realize is bus drivers. How do you get to these opposing schools if bus drivers get it? If you may not be in that same routine, if your teaching staff comes down with a lot of your teaching staff comes down, you have to go to remote learning. It's just not one of those things that you like to do. But I can tell you every athletic director in this entire area has done a phenomenal job trying to balance and reschedule. And, the coaches and the kids for that part too is, hey, if we got to go 3 days, 4 days in a row, that's what we got to do, because they love the game and they want to play it.
Is there one thing that you can't wait to never have to do again after this is all said and done?
I hope to never go through this again. My biggest thing was I did not like wearing a mask. Yeah. I did not like wearing one. Never want to have to do that again. Now if it means for me to come to work and do my job, then yeah, I'll do that, because we're all here for the kids and, trying to get them the most opportunities they can, so we'll do that stuff. But that would be the thing I would never want to do again, is wear that mask all day long. And, you're in a gym and, there's people, a lot of people in there and it's hot and you got that mask on. That was probably the worst thing that I had to go through.
Unbelievable. Donnie Farron, I appreciate you stopping by. It's a long overdue one, and I'm hoping it won't be that long till you're on here again, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, and keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yep. Thank you, DJ. Thank you, everything you guys do.
You got it, brother. There he goes, Donnie Farron, one of my really, really good and nobody believes this. I tell the story all the time that the first time I met Donnie, he didn't want anything to do with YSN. It was actually a meeting between Dennis Dunham and Donnie and myself where we had to explain it. Now, in Donnie's defense, we didn't have any kind of established website, or we just had a vision and a mission. And he's like, no, nope, don't want it. And now he is one of the biggest advocates. And I can't thank him enough. I mean, he's a great friend now. And he, listen, we're friends, but he does not hesitate to keep us in line when it comes to making sure those kids come first. He's a great athletic director, a great man, and I'm proud to call him a friend. So thanks, Donnie, for stopping by. Thanks to Tommy Pease for stopping. This damn microphone. Thanks to Tommy Pease for stopping by as well and talking Potters with me. And again, we'll get back to some panels, but I think this is probably the way we're going to go from now on is more of a talk show style and let you guys control the show. So if there's people you want out there to be on the show, whether they're student athletes, whether they're business people that are involved with sports, we want to have them here and talk about why sports is so important. DJ Folkley Jr. says, love you, Uncle. You're such an inspiration to our family. Aunt Debbie loves you. I don't have an Aunt Debbie. I'm just going to put it out there. 0 Aunt Debbies out there for me. Let's get to the favorite part of the show is the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? It's the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, proudly presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Visit them today in North Lima, or you could just go over to DickeyElectric.com to get yourself started. Joe Dickey Electric proudly powering the Mahoning Valley for over 60 years. And coincidentally, my spark today is a great spark because I got a call from the head sparkster himself, Mr. Eric Carlson, the president of Joe Dickey. I think that's his title, and I apologize if I got it wrong. He's the head honcho. I know that over at Joe Dickey Electric. Eric called me today, which is why it's my spark. Like, I love being in the position that I'm in, not because of all the things that you guys see that on TV or on streaming. I love it because of the relationships that I can build with good people, great people. In our communities, leaders that I get to sit down and talk with because they want to get to know us and me a little better, and more us. Let's just be honest. They could care less about me. They want to know what YSN is up to. But the reality is guys like Eric Carlson, when he calls, he cares about YSN, yes, but on the other side of it, he's asking about your family. He's asking about how things are going for you. Do you need anything? Things of that nature. And there's so much of that here in this valley, but it still remains unique, if that makes any sense. It still remains unique to people that are in charge. And a good ship is always captained by one of the best. And Eric Carlson over at Joe Dickey Electric, without a doubt, one of the best. And talked yesterday to a couple people about the network that I'm fortunate to have here in this area. And man, I'll tell you what, you go through the Rolodex and you just have good person after good person after good person and great leader after great leader after great leader and just great humans. And I'm very fortunate. I feel very fortunate. And I hope to continue to build these relationships with these great people. And they continue to support what we're trying to do here at YSN and evolve and continue to be number one priority is about these student athletes, the programs, and of course the communities that they serve. So Jeff Howard chiming in. So hear me out, DJ. I know you went to Westminster, so you should have someone on the show from Westminster. We can do that. I can get that accomplished. That's an easy one. So Jeff, I will take it into consideration. I will reach. Do you have any thoughts on who you want to talk to from Westminster? Because I'm happy to reach out and maybe get you on the show as well if you have questions. So that's what I want to make this show. The Power Hour is about you. It's about the fans. I want to know who you want to see, who you want to hear from, who you want to be on the show, and we will get them on the show and ask them your questions. We'll ask them questions about Whether they're a business person, we'll ask them why it's so important to be here locally. We'll ask them if they're a student athlete, what their favorite part about being a student athlete is. That drill. And of course, coaches, and we saw athletic directors today. And all of this will be transferred onto our website, so you'll be able to capture it in snippets as well. But that's the way we're going. I appreciate you guys constantly and honest to God, from the bottom of my heart, from the subcockles of my heart. I thank you for always supporting what we do and the continuous evolution of YSN, because we are only getting started. That's going to do it for our show today. Thanks for tuning in, and somehow I got kicked out of my own show. That's neat. That's a first. Jeff says, also, as long as CH stays, we're cool. Love his baseball rants. Oh, CJ. Yeah, as long as CJ stays, yeah, CJ is going to be around. Don't worry. Don't you worry about that. That's going to do it for our show today. Appreciate you guys hanging out and being around. Don't know why I just got kicked out, but we'll take that as a sign that I need to go. So that's going to do it for the show. Peace out. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 to 4, right here on YSN. YSN thanks you for watching